Hi guys, so I want to get right into it. Emily Violet Reyes Jane, please like, subscribe, and share below. And I'm going to talk about self-sabotage and the truth behind that. I want to say a quick prayer. I want to try to make this part of the routine moving forward, that we are completely anchored in light, grounded within our bodies, grounded within Mother Earth. We are filled with white light, surrounded by white light, and let this divine essence and consciousness that we are speak through me now. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So be it, so it is. So there's been so many energies happening lately, so much inward hermit type energy to really get in your truth, in yourself. And the topic I wanted to get onto was self-sabotage and the truth behind that. And as we're stepping into our power, even if you're super successful in your life, or if you're completely in a place of transition, what this looks like is when there's a part of us. So self-sabotage actually is a falsity. Okay, self-sabotage, we never actually want to hurt ourselves. So this is in relation also to autoimmune diseases, which I apparently suffered for 20 years of my life. And through my own healing journey and discovery, your body is never going to attack you. You're never going to attack yourself. Just let that sink in for a minute. Your body, which is connected to the innate consciousness of the divine, it's got its own entity, right? It's unconsciously working all the time. Your heart beating, the blood flowing, the organs flushing. So how do we for 1 second think that, one, it doesn't know what it's doing, two, that it's going to attack itself when it's doing its best as a well-oiled machine to function at the highest capacity it can? The reason why, and I'll get into the body first and then overlay this concept into self-sabotage in our life and in our behaviors. The body ends up getting, let's say, toxins and invaders that it does not recognize. So then it attempts to protect itself against these foreign objects. Meaning, if you get a toxic chemical in your body, which is in everything, food, air, water, then your body will try to filter it out. It will start to swell up, retain water. If some organs are stressed, other ones will try to overcompensate to help out with the job. And like even a better example, say if you get injured, you'll get a bruise and you'll get inflammation. And then we'll take, say, ibuprofen or an anti-inflammatory to reduce the inflammation. So then we're telling the body, you don't know what you're doing. Like, yes, it does. It's creating that inflammation to protect the area so it can heal. And then we go in with our mind thinking that we know better and sabotage that. But in essence, the body knows exactly what it's doing. And the autoimmune disease is when it's attacking itself. It's actually an overabundance of toxins, okay? Stagnant, stuck in areas of the body. And the body is working overtime to try to remove them. And if it can't flush them, then all these other wacky things will occur. And then because they don't have a title and they don't know why, because the pharmaceutical and the doctors, this is a whole other video, but they don't work for the body. They only work for the medication. They only know about medication, chemical created pills, and that our body is separate is what they come at us with. Like, if you have something on your skin, they're going to give you cortisone or some kind of a cream or why am I'm blanking out the words, like a hormone or something, cream for, say, eczema. When it gets to the skin and the skin has a reaction or a symptom, it's due to something else going on in the body, but they treat it like a separate entity, as if your skin is different, like is separate from the rest of your body when your skin is your biggest organ, or they tell you it's normal. I won't get started. Anyways, there is no such thing as autoimmune, rheumatoid arthritis, all Colitis, you name it, in all of those categories, there's no such thing. All of it is caused by inflammation, which the body is trying to protect you from the toxins. No such thing as autoimmune. Your body will never attack yourself. So, in saying that, and sorry, the light is going down. I'm trying to record this while you can still see my face. Self-sabotage. What happens over time in our lifetime is we end up getting fragmented. So we become different parts of ourself. Okay, so there's like a 3-year-old, a 5-year-old, a 7-year-old. We have different fragmented parts of ourself. We separate within ourself. That's also the programs running. So when you want something and then you have your mind say, you're not good enough to get that. See how it's like, how do you have 2 parts? There's way more than 2, I'll tell you that. If you refer to my very first video, you scroll down, I talk about having multiple personalities, and that everyone does. Because not only are we multidimensionally, we're fragmented. As well as we do have multiple selves. You know, you have the comedian, you have the sad small child, you have the very stern adult, a parent, you have the teenager that wants to get wild. So we do, even when we heal and come back into oneness from these fragments, we still have a lot of different varying, let's say we're multifaceted beings regardless of our healing journey. But in essence, we become more one and whole, where you won't have this other voice telling you otherwise, or these other thoughts or other voices telling you otherwise. So when it's like, I've worked, and I'm going to do, I think probably the next video on addiction. I was an addictions counselor and I was an addict myself. And so it's like when someone attempts to get sober, they want to for their family, and they relapse over and over and over again, and they say that it's self-sabotage, then they spiral in shame and guilt, and the cycle continues. But it's false. If you get out of this running program of self-sabotage that you then beat yourself up over, and you're caught in that trap, it's a lie. And as soon as you realize that, you're always, your mind, your body, your soul, you're always trying to protect yourself. You're always working for yourself. So the concept of self-sabotage laid out is that one part of you is trying to protect you. That's the part that you need to connect with, recover, and love. So that part is like, you're not safe. You're not, that you have this program that you don't have the belief in yourself. It's lacking love and self-love. And this is due to, like I said, trauma or programs, things we've been told in our life, negative things that have been reflected back to us, and a multitude of experiences we have gathered to prove to us that that's true. When in fact, it's a lie. And that if we can shift our belief and understand that, oh no, I was actually supporting myself there. I wasn't trying to hurt myself. Even when someone is cutting themselves, they actually don't want to hurt. They want to relieve their own suffering. And so this feeling that pain actually relieves the emotional suffering. In my story, I was apparently the best self-sabotager and self-abuser, but that was because of I was abused, and then what happens is we take that imprint of abuse and then become our own abuser, even when the abuser or that situation has ended. And so I'm covered in tattoos, and when I found during the period of I was getting on my whole back piece once after I got sober, and I enjoyed the pain, because it relieved the stress I was under at that time. I mean, that was back in 2009. And I'm not in that place anymore. And again, that's another thing about tattoos and past lives and where you place them and what you get, which please let me know if anyone wants a video on that, as well as birthmarks on the body. That's another story too. But staying on topic. So that part of you, so say as an addict, that, I believe I'm always going to let someone down. I have nothing to look forward to in my life anyways, blah, blah, blah. So the self-sabotage is basically coming in so that you can maintain being an addict or a failure and in the drama of it or in the suffering of it, because you think that that's who you are, and attempting to like heal or shift your identity and letting people down again, you'd rather just stay stuck in suffering. You know, the part of you that basically does not have the coping skills, which is the reason, in essence, does not have any other coping mechanism in order to stop that habit. Therefore, every time you're in distress, in crisis, feeling too much pain, you go to a drink, to a drug, to a person, to porn, to whatever your vice is, food, cutting, whatever it is, to relieve the suffering. So you are always working for you. So you are trying to love you. You just in that state, in that place, you don't know any other way. And if you knew another way, you would stop doing it. If you had a way to relieve it. So say you're in crisis or you're in heavy grief and you're like, what's going to take this away? Because you haven't been shown, because we didn't get a human user manual, and we've been disconnected from society and growing up in families and tribes forever. So we weren't taught these things or initiated properly how to cope as a fucking human. Then yeah, if you're shown these things about how to sit and breathe and process it and say physically work it out. Like if you're in extreme pain, say heartbreak after a breakup, to go work out, to lay in your bed and cry for hours, to scream and pound a pillow, to write out a letter to that person, to go with your friends and dance and listen to music, or just fucking scream out in the middle of a field or the top of a mountain. You have to get that pain out, pounding your chest. Holy shit, right? Rubbing it out. We store emotions here in our solar plexus. We store them in our heart. Getting it out of your body. If you were shown these two skills, tapping, sound therapy, listening to or drumming, making music, creating, the best way to get out pain is through creation. Okay, like I said, playing sports, dancing, making music, making art, anything of creation. Put that fucking pain into something beautiful. You transmute it into something beautiful. Self-sabotage can no longer exist. Why? Because now you have a new way to work through the suffering, and you are relieved because you've basically got it out. And knowing this, then you can forgive yourself and say, God damn, I was trying my best to help myself the entire time. I'm not a failure. I'm not an idiot. I don't have the incapacity to change. I can change. I just didn't know. So once you know, and you start seeking, searching, I hope you find this video and that this can help you. Any which way, pray and ask for answers. Sit and do something you've never done to get somewhere you've never been, and be someone you've never been able to awaken. Self-sabotage doesn't exist. When I was an addictions counselor, when I got sober initially, I went into AA. Drugs were my primary thing, but AA had the most sobriety at the time. And we are abstinence-based. And I was in it solid for 3 years. Then I got out more on my spiritual journey and evolved outside of also that kind of program. But it also awakened me to so many things in my belief and my spiritual journey. However, it's like a Bible, the AA, the big book. It basically, abstinence is the only way. Then I became an addictions counselor, and I worked in rehabs, I worked in long-term men's recovery home, women's homes, I ran women's groups, I developed programs, I did all these things, one-on-one sessions, and I ran groups to try to get people reconnected with themselves, because they all believe they're self-sabotaging. Chronic guilt and shame cannot make it, could not get sober. They would ruin their relationships, they would ruin their jobs, and they didn't believe in themselves. And that's because they were disconnected from self, because they learned to numb, because the emotions were too much to carry. So they found some way to sabotage, but they didn't. And what they didn't know is that they were trying to help themselves the whole time. And in fact, I guess this will overlay with addiction, because addiction saved my life. It kept me alive long enough to figure it out. Addiction is self-soothing, self-medicating, right? Self-sabotage is the same thing. You are medicating, trying to soothe yourself. The only way you've learned or know how, or have seen others around you that you grew up with. So once you understand that you've been your biggest fan this whole time, you've been trying to help yourself this whole time, you can step into this forgiveness. And that's the first step, really, is saying, I have witnessed my behavior and this pattern over and over again, and I want to change. And like the energy, like I said, this week has been very hermiting, going within self, being quiet. You know, myself, I'm very disconnected. I've had a lot of stuff go on, a lot of things go wrong, a lot on my plate, a lot of stress. And really, all I want to do is meditate and be mute all week. And that's me supporting myself. I want to be mute. I don't want to talk to anyone. I want to meditate for hours. I want to do yoga or just do breath work and just lay and be alone. That's like heaven to me. So self-sabotage sucks the life out of you when you believe that is true. It's not fucking true. Okay, I'm gonna, I don't know how the lighting is. I'm sorry, guys. Hold on. Actually, maybe this light will be, it's a little side light, but okay, cool. So I hope that that is making sense for you. And how you can start to remedy this for yourself is recognizing your own patterns. So if you sabotage relationships, that's because you're not feeling safe to connect with another person. Your heart is not safe. You do not trust. And that's because you've been really, really hurt. And you cannot trust yourself to keep yourself safe. So so you'll sabotage it so that you don't get hurt again. So you want love so bad, but you cannot get it because you are protecting yourself from getting hurt when that's what you want the most, love. And say if you want that job or to get sober or whatever it may be, and then you come in and sabotage it as soon as you're in that desire, and then that desire not being able to attain it, but not believing that you can, hurts even more. So really, it's like sitting with yourself, looking at your patterns when that sabotagey behavior starts to come up. And I know for me, it's like, as soon as I'm going towards something and it feels really good, I'll start to distract myself. You know, I'll go on social media more. I'll get this anxiousness that'll start running in my nervous system. It is a trauma response. And I recognize it like, oh, okay, we're getting a little off track here. You know, I'll start multitasking more. And because I have this awareness myself, it's fear. So anytime you feel this way, it's fear. So we have to come back to love and presence and embodiment, which is breathing. And I'll say this over and over again in all of my videos, I'm sure. I mean, one of the, I think this was like my second tattoo. It's backwards, but it says just breathe. It's on my arm right here. Just breathe. Big belly breath in your chest and hold it. Hold it really, 10 seconds really helps me when you hold it. And then a big sigh of release. And so doing that a couple times will really bring you back out of that, fight or flight mode. And that's usually when you're triggered, right? In a program that may lead you to what has been called self-sabotage. But in that heightened state, then you just want to soothe and do all these things, which is then taking you away from the real emotion and the real work and the real desire that you have to that thing. And everything comes down to regulating the nervous system. Regulating the nervous system is the key to it all. And understanding that you are always on your side. And if you think, or you really have, you've let yourself down over and over again. I know for me, even with the conscious awareness that I've had for so many years, witnessing my own patterns over and over and over again, and then beating myself up relentlessly, striving to heal or striving to change it and getting in stuck points, say giving too much of my energy away, believing in people when I should be believing in myself. Everything is a mirror outside of us, within us, of our own life existence. It displays outwardly. And it does come down, so when they say self-love, what self-love is understanding that yes, you have been broken into many parts. You're here to rescue those parts and unify within. And knowledge is power. So this one quote that I wrote, I think I found in one of my older videos, knowledge is power. And knowledge awakens the life force within us, the consciousness. And then we dig to a place, I'd have to look up what actually the quote was, that then we can get a place through pain into love, where we see the pain that was kind of like a blanket over top of us from really accessing these good feelings, these good endorphins and self-realizations, so that we can forgive ourselves to really recover from anything in our life. We won't sabotage it anymore. We weren't to begin with. We were just trying to figure it out. We didn't know any other way. And really shift our identity, our life path, and really prove ourself to ourself and access our potential, because untapped potential is the greatest woe of humanity. This is one of my favorite quotes from the movie A Bronx Tale. I put it in my high school yearbook, under my high school, whatever, your little quote thing that you put under your picture. There's nothing worse in life than wasted talent. And in fact, that quote, when I chose to get sober, was why. Because I knew I had something else to give, and I just couldn't make it in this world the way things were, with the pain that I felt. And like the buffalo, this cow, this bison, this cool dude with cool bangs right here, using animal energy medicine, sitting with the bull, accessing your own inner protector, your own inner parent, that fragment, that part of you that's been separated, that is really sad and wounded. We call up this strength to then hold that part of us. Be like, I am so sorry, I was doing the best I can. I forgive this part of me for doing the best. You were always working for me. Thank you. Thank you. I forgive you, and really crying it out. Like I said, when I was coming into this place of, oh my God, I did it again. I hurt myself again. I got off my path because, I was pulled and I failed at this test, because as soon as we're on path and things are moving forward, we get tested of how much have you really learned? How many boundaries, or how much self-love, how much are you really gonna hold strong, in what you've learned? Like, we will continuously be tested. And so when I would fail over and over again, I was conscious while I was failing, at the moment it was happening, beat myself up, but then go into forgiveness, being like, I know you knew better. I know that you were doing your best to protect yourself, and that you were really, really hurt. And I would have to use self-talk. I would have to really use self-talk strongly. And that's how I could recover over and over again these parts, and basically have this awareness to share with you today. So I hope that this is useful. I really do, because I love you all. You are here to reach your potential and access it, and remember who the fuck you are. It's never too late. I don't care if you're 75 years old. It's never too late. You could be on your deathbed and have these realizations and finally forgive yourself. Don't wait till then. It's not too late. But the amount of suffering in your life up until that point, you can save yourself a lot by grabbing a hold of this concept. It's beautiful when you can really recall these parts of yourself, these wounded parts, and give them praise rather than shame. Anyways, many blessings, guys. Please like, subscribe, and share. See my website links below of all that's going on. To work with me individually or just say hi. Have a beautiful day, guys.